get on here scratching my beautiful locks because my hair is growing rapidly. Anyway, um, let me make sure my finger is not muffling the microphone. Um, so I just had some thoughts. I know it's pretty late, later in some areas, earlier in some. Um, but I just had some thoughts on this, and just different things came to mind. I remember being in a position with children. I want to say from children to young adults. So like ages 3 to like 17. People will still consider, whatever. Depending, culturally, that changes. However, I remember at this specific time that I'm referring to, drawing back from my own life, I remember how important sound filtering was to me, and my, influence with them. And, I'm from South Carolina. There was a lot of kids who were considered children from like the projects, or just more blackened areas and stuff like that, where, a lot of their parents or a lot of people just speak loosely to them, even, let alone just, oh, the children are just, amidst them in adult conversations, but like speak that way. And I thought about how I grew up among this too, with one of my aunts, and I have to be completely blatant with y'all. I'm not too fond of her, but that's a part of my family. But I'm not very fond of her at all. There was a lot of trauma, significant trauma that occurred to me, happened with me in her household. And so, there's many reasons above just her way of speech, where I just have my, boundaries with her and others. However, she was one of those people who, oh my God, it was like most of her vocabulary was profanity or vile language. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the use of, any of that, on any terms, any grounds. I'm not saying that. But I do feel like there should be, and that's why in the caption I put sound filtering, because there's so many other words, languages, vocabulary, verbiage in the world that you could be like applying and exercising with children, especially. So my biggest thing is like with children, right? And where you can speak with more tact and still get your point across, right? And you kind of stay off the lines of speaking in a manner of belittlement to them. You really have to be careful with how you speak, or how you apply profanity with certain people, especially children, right? And then, when this whole thing comes about where children at younger and younger ages are speaking these or regurgitating these very vile, mannerisms, or, I guess it's technically not a mannerism, but, this vile language at such a young age, and then they're taking that to schools or, with other children who are not exposed to stuff like that in their households. All this stuff, people need to, it would be ideal for people to consider all of that, right? Not just, oh, what you're used to in your bloodline, what you're used to, with your parents, your family, and how they spoken to you, how you speak, yada yada yada. Not everybody, raised their household, with that same manner of, speech. And so, it's like, you just, a considerate person should think about it, that deep. So yeah, just quickly, like I was just thinking about just my life and my growth, especially like my intellectual growth and vocabulary. I'm the kind of person who used to always like have the dictionary app on my phone playing like dictionary games, like stuff that's kind of rare. Like I would be playing dictionary games on my phone just to build my vocabulary. I'm a word search person, like not word. Yeah, that's what it's called, word search. I'm word search queen. I love word searches. I've loved them since I was a kid. Um, I recently like just purchased me two word search books. Yeah, and I just feel like, oh my god, that's so like old people shit. Is it though? Because when I was a kid, I used to get too excited about word searches in school. Like I used to look forward to those type of games. You know what I'm saying? Like, love them. Still do. Still do. I'm a little bit quicker paced with it now, but it's still fun. You still learning more words. You're still expanding your vocabulary. Also, like with the idea of there being other languages out there, so much to learn, so much to, fill your brain, with healthy stuff, useful stuff, that will come in handy, and then, things that you can teach others later on down the line. Like I remember one time, and I believe this. I remember I had a conversation with these beautiful ladies, and they're Latina, and I remember I was just speaking to them like with my like what I've been learning and stuff like that, and just to further have myself learned in the language among other languages. And she asked me my reason, and I told her, I said it's not fair for most people with other cultural tongues, other cultural languages, to really put in the effort and work hard to learn the English language so that they can be more easier or make things more easier for English speaking or predominantly English speaking people. It's not really balanced or fair or reciprocal for them to put in all that work to properly to educate themselves um, on that language, and then people not have as much people do take that same initiative to be not well first to be more respectful of them and their culture, which is a beautiful culture. One, two, to just that reciprocity level, and make things easier on them instead of always coming off like they have to overcompensate for us because you know we are too lazy or we don't, really feel like it's that useful to learn their language, to speak their language, just as they've learned our language and spoken our language. And America has emphasized how important it is for people to learn English, like just across nations. And so I remember like she literally almost cried. Like she gave me a big hug and told me that she loved me. And that really is a form of love language. Like really studying other cultures and really becoming fluent in, their culture so that you can better understand them and communicate with them, and show just more respect and revere of them, so they don't feel ostracized or they don't feel like the odd one or whatever, or like like just to stay away from that whole idea of, oh, we're better because we speak English or we're from here, yada yada yada. So with that being said, like when I made that statement about sound filtering, of course, this is not referring to filtering the truth, right? Not being transparent, with people, um, or being honest, being authentic. No, I'm saying be all those things, but see, sound is what makes a difference with the filtering I'm referring to. Sound, as in, would your content or like, would what you are saying be something that you can go into an elementary school or you can go into an environment of children and speak in that same manner, the information, the wisdom, the experience, that you're providing or offering or giving or whatever, education or information that is of use or useful. Is it presentable, or how do you modify it to make it presentable, to different audiences, including, the youth or younger people, where they don't really need to be spoken to like that. And then we have this whole phenomena of abuse, verbal abuse and mental, psychological abuse, emotional abuse. And even though there's a misconception, this whole saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me, that is a lie. That is a lie. And I think, we know that by now, especially like our generation. We know that words do hurt. The way things are said can hurt, right? That we would want people to be more considerate about their choice of words with us, whether they're being honest with us or not. Of course we want honesty. Of course we want people to be truthful and transparent and whatever, and clear with us. However, that doesn't mean it should come with being disrespected, like or feeling like somebody's on the grounds, like a thin line of possible disrespect by the way that they're speaking to you, the way that they're speaking to you, their choice of words. So these are just all things that we learn from our own lives. You get me? And it's like, okay, you experience what that feels like. No, words do bother people. Words do matter, right? And so there's ways where you can still, or something that's being highlighted to me, and I've been there. And I feel like, depending on, the audience, of course, like when you're talking to adults, I mean, speak how you want to speak. But I feel like it's still even like boundaries with that. There's some group of adults, you feel me, where they ain't really, it's a certain level of, what I'm saying, like verbiage, or tact that you should have depending on the group of people, right? Depending on the setting, the context, and more chill, comfortable, settings, relaxed settings or whatever, you may be able to speak all type of, speak all wild and stuff like that. And others, not saying that this is taken away from you being your true self, your authentic self. It's just about being considerate of others. You still speak the truth. You still, speak whatever grounds you stand on, right? You still don't sugarcoat and stuff like that. There's sound filtering and there's sugarcoating. Sugarcoating, you know what I'm saying? That's almost like you're trying to dim down a truth. That's not what we're talking about. Like, you're either trying to dim down it or take away from it, right? Or withhold information. Stuff like that, just to make it more appealing so that somebody could be, whatever. But there's, it's just a thin line between it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, that's not what I'm saying. But I definitely, when it comes to children, I can't imagine seeing myself ever just talking vile language to a child and around a child. And anytime that I have done it, I felt extremely uncomfortable. Now, you have other words, that are less drastic than others, like what the hell, or the hell, or damn, stuff like that, certain words. However, when you get to like what the fuck and fucking this, and see, you know what I'm saying? Like, now I kind of just ruin like my video, like, you know what I'm saying? Like that type of stuff. Like, it's like, but ideally this would be like for other adult viewers. Yeah, like that's just how I feel about it. I have felt very uncomfortable, extremely uncomfortable, even if I slipped up and said it. Or let's say I seen a child there and I still let myself say, even if it's something minor, it could be something minor, like shit, like something happened, or you know what I'm saying? Like, he kind of just spewed out, and it's something that bothers me. And of course, I don't speak for everybody. I can't vouch for everybody. This is just me sharing my thoughts, and some people share similar perceptions and conceptions and some don't. Some of you have to agree to disagree. But, from my experience of working, like actually working with children of different age groups and stuff like that, That's not really something that I'm really doing. Like, I'm not really cursing at them, or I haven't, I wasn't really doing that. And something that I even used to tell them was that there are so many words in the world, that you can use to express yourself, express your emotions and how you're feeling, outside of just profanity. And, profanity is just like really easy. Or like vile language is really easy. Um, so, I don't demonize people for speaking that. I've spoken profanity plenty times, even on some videos on here. However, I do remember a moment in my life where I was more disciplined, more tactful with my speech, and I'm really feeling like, it's time to bring more of that back. And I like to consider myself as someone who's very intellectual, who's very broad in vocabulary and stuff like that. But there's even much more out there to learn, um, including other languages. Like, imagine, uh, imagine speaking to like someone in another language, outside of, what I'm saying. So it's just different things that I would rather be noted in this lifetime. Especially when it comes to verbiage, there's different things that I would rather be noted. That, that's the influence or the impact that I've made, that I left on the youth or on children and stuff like that. That, this is somebody who taught me, who helped me expand my vocabulary, who helped me learn other languages or sign language, different stuff like that, to express myself, or help me express myself musically, symbolically, different stuff like that. And so yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say. Uh, Hope y'all don't mind the hair scratching. Like I said, my hair is just, mm, hair is doing what hair does, you know. Um, but yeah, would you want to be that person, that you grew up with in your family? Like, would you want to be that person? Like, would you want to have that reputation, like, as the potty mouth, adult in the family? And like I said, there's nothing wrong with expressing yourself through profanity at all. But I do think that there definitely needs to be more tact when it comes to your audience. It does. It does. Um, and I never want to be, I don't necessarily want to be that person that, oh, this child speaks in this manner or whatever, because they've been around me or under my supervision or in my influence or influenced by me speaking in that manner or speaking to them in that manner, right? And people receive things differently, especially when it comes to vile language, depending on their household, how they were raised and stuff like that. And you don't want to create, domino effects or like, patterns. And I know a lot of people would take that, and I feel like that's a very lazy approach to take on that. That words are just words. You know how many words have caused suicides? You know how many words have caused discord and violence and deaths? Do you know how often that has occurred? You know, so it's not really wise to see all these examples of such and then continue moving in patterns that, cause more harm than good. Also, this is not saying everybody has to be perfect in how they speak and that they can't use profanity at all, but people should practice more with self-discipline and a respect and a regard, having a regard um, from, or for children especially, but, having a regard for like that type of sensitivity, and, you know, consider going into other cultures and stuff like that. Like, no, and a lot of people have this attitude that being your true self and means that you shouldn't have any respect for others, or like being considerate. Like, and that's not what that is. That's not what that is at all. Mm-mm. No. No. But all right, y'all. This is the Authentic Empress. And those are just my thoughts. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks to those of you who are listening and sticking around.